Today I'm going to be cleaning and realigning. I just removed the gas tank to give me room. I removed all the screws from the top of the head. When pulling this, there isn't a lot of tension. I removed this plate that protects everything. While I was in here, I added oil to all the moving parts. I just sprayed these bolts on the muffler with penetrating oil that'll soon evaporate because I don't want to break those bolts off. They're kind of rusty. Because what's been happening when this starts, this thing turns cherry red and small flames come out of here. That's because the exhaust valve is leaking. So I'm gonna fix that. The muffler's off, so now I can weasel this piece out. Here's all these bolts I gotta take out. First I gotta take the spark plug and these off. Get this off. Gonna remove the whole head of the engine. I may need to put some oil on those. I just removed the head of the engine. I have all the screws here in a way that I'll remember how they went back. This is good. These old engines had these metal seals. The new ones, it's like a piece of cardboard. And these kind are reusable. There isn't any black lines on this, meaning it's not leaking, so that can be reused. Now this is what the problem is. All this tar building up. I'm going to scrape this off. I'm going to get my drill with a steel wool spinner on there. Get all this off, clean it up. Now I got to remove these two screws. These two bolts. Take this off. I got to go in here. Remove the springs. For these will be free. I should put some oil on these. I'll be back out here in a few minutes, and that'll work its way in. These were really on here. This star wrench didn't take it off. I had to put pliers on here to crack it. Now the star wrench will take it off the rest of the way. And I'm going to grind this with steel wool because this tar on here isn't necessarily the problem, but if a piece of this eventually breaks off and gets in here, it'll start scraping along the wall of the piston, and that'll make a gap. These here need to be realigned, so I got to get in this box, remove the springs on them. I got to use my spacing tool to make sure they're spaced correctly. Because, see, these are both a little bit open at the same time. That's what the problem is. This one's supposed to be completely shut before this one opens. And this one's supposed to be completely shut before this one opens. They're not supposed to be open at the same time like they are now. That's why there's sparks and fire coming out of the exhaust pipe here. Just remove 2 screws, taking off the air intake pipe. This other end, that's the intake itself. It does have a filter. Usually these snowblowers don't have a filter. Remove a small bolt from here to get this out of my way. These bolts, after all, did not need to come out because this drops low enough. Okay, I don't have a spring compressor, so I'm gonna use screwdrivers to do this. Since I don't have a compression spring compressor, this was a little more difficult to do. If you had that tool, it would take a minute. It took me a half hour just to get this one finally out of the slot. So now the exhaust valve will come right up and out. Here it is. Now I'm going to go over to my grinder. I'm going to grind all this shit off it. I probably shouldn't have called it a grinder. It's more like steel wool. Now I got all that off. It's nice and smooth. I'm using this for lighting. So I have this valve grinding compound. You don't need a lot of it, just a tiny bit. See the edge that's shiny? That's where it's gonna go. Doesn't have to go on evenly, because when you start spinning it, it'll go on the rest of the way. As soon as I'm done with this one, I'm gonna pull the intake compressor, or no, intake valve. Put this right around the edge. By grinding this, we'll get rid of any grooves or any spaces, making this much tighter when it's running, because I don't want those gas fumes coming out again. It's very important not to get any of this down inside here, because when it's running, it'll cause unnecessary wear and tear. I have paper towels around for when I'm done. I'm going to wipe out that hole, and I can wipe off my hands too. Just around the edge. And before I put it back together in that smaller hole down there, I'm going to drop some oil to lubricate this better. Okay. Drop this down inside again. And I have a special tool for spinning this. It only costs $2 at the auto store. It has 2 different size suction cups with wood. You use 2 hands, one on each side, and you spin this back and forth. Do this for a few minutes. I'm going to shut the camera off where I can use both hands on each side. Spin it real fast. Nice and easy. I've been going for about 3 minutes. I'm going to make it an even 5 minutes doing this. Okay, I'm done now. Pull it on out. Get some paper towels. See, that's what you're looking for. See, there's a little hole right there. Tiny little hole. So this means I should probably go a little longer doing this. I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, it's done now. The reason, I cleaned all that grime off from earlier in the video because when that stuff gets loose, it causes, you see there's a few little lines along this, nothing major, so it's good that I caught that in time. Gotta make this even. Looks like there's some of that char in there on the edge. Now I'm gonna pull this one out, put this one back, put the good oil on it. Okay, with great difficulty, I got it back in using 2 screwdrivers. It went in easier than it came out. Hopefully, it'll run nicer now. Now I gotta do this side. Other side, so that's probably gonna be another hour. Putting this thing back together will be the easy part. I think I'm getting better at this. The intake side only took me 5 minutes to get out. Wait, I'm gonna close this. Looks like there's a lot of grime in here. I'm gonna put the grinder to that briefly grind that. while the grinder was plugged in, I just put it to this quickly to get anything loose that might have been on it off. Now I'm going to do my same thing again that I did with the grinding the stuff here. Quickly, I just want to show how good this came out with the grinder on this side. That looks really nice. Nice and shiny. Because from the beginning of the video, that was black. All black. Okay, I'm done now. See, it leaves a nice shiny ring around there. I could take some sandpaper, a really soft sandpaper to get that rust off, but it's really not necessary. Other part, I'm gonna get that off, and I'm gonna hook everything back up. Okay, here's how I'm going about this. Taking one screwdriver with another one helping me just get it up. Just getting the spring up and out of the way. This may take a few attempts. And now this part with the other screwdriver, I gotta get into place. Bring that up in there. This does take a few attempts. Actually, something that I had to use before. I gotta put something in here to use as a fulcrum. I got it in. That loud pop is what jiggled the machine and the camera slipped. But I did get it in. Before I seal this up, I'm gonna make sure both of these work properly. I'm gonna pull this cord to get them moving. Two should not be open at the same time at all. Only one at a time. Okay, exhaust just opened. Okay. Exhaust is opening. Okay, intake just shut. There goes the exhaust. As the exhaust closes, the intake opens again. Okay, I'm gonna start rebuilding this now. See if this works, because this is all I could really do. The seal's starting to break, but this is just the intake. I'm gonna put a little bit more oil on all these moving parts in here. First, I'm gonna Thanks for watching. I'm gonna put this back together and test it out. I hope this video was helpful to you.